Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or hi, my name is Stacy if you're new here. So for today's video, it's really exciting. I'm going to do 3 looks using the Natasha Denona Retro palette. It came out a couple months ago, I think, but I only just picked it up during the Sephora VIB sale, which is still going on as of this moment until November 15th, I believe. Yeah, I've been eyeing this palette for a while, but I just never bit the bullet and picked it up. Just because I do like these types of mauve tones, but I already have a lot of palettes that are like that, so I was like, I don't know if it's like worth it for me to pick up, but a lot of the reviews are really good about this palette, and I mean, it is my type of color story, so I figured I should just pick it up during the sale. Oh yeah, also wanted to mention, I don't know if you noticed anything different, but I got a new camera, and it's like an actual camera, but this is like my first time actually like doing a whole video with this camera. I'm still getting used to using this camera, and you can always let me know down below if you want me to like specifically have some type of setting that you think would be more helpful. Hope that you guys enjoy this better camera quality. If you want to see me demo 3 looks using this palette, then just keep on watching. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, because it really helps out my channel. And yeah, we'll just get right into the video. Okay, so I want to start off with the cooler, more gray tones, so kind of like these 3-ish. Something along those lines. So I'm gonna start off by going in with the shade Nude Mauve. I think this is true for most Natasha Denona shades, but it's quite pigmented, so it definitely shows up darker than in the pan. So like, don't worry if you have a darker skin tone. And in fact, if you have a lighter skin tone, there's actually this nice shade called Maud. It's like a creamy white shade that you can like mix in, which I'm doing right now, just to like lighten things so it's not so dramatic. It makes a smoother blend. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of the shade Andy. I think this is my favorite like matte shade in the palette just because it's a perfect mauve shade. Just gonna add a little bit of that to the crease. I guess I want to go in with a shade Apart. It's like the taupey gray shade right here. Oh, so this is like a creamy matte. I like that the creamy mattes don't go on like super pigmented immediately. Like, they're very buildable. Okay, so now I have a general shape, but it's a little messy. So then I just take a fluffy brush and blend it out. The shade looks very gray in the pan, but it kind of almost has like a purpley undertone because it blends perfectly fine with all the other colors in the palette. Next, I want to go in with the shade Jude, which is a really pretty taupey brown shade. This is going to be our main lid color. Whoa, it's super creamy. Like, I just like swipe my finger across the top very lightly, and it has a lot of impact and a pigment that like it can spread across my whole lid immediately. That was so easy too, like to get that look. Okay, that's honestly basically it for this more taupey gray look. They actually all have a purpley undertone. It's like a perfect taupe, which I like. I'm just gonna take Nude Mauve again and put it on the bottom lash line. And then I'm going to take a little bit of Andy, the mauve shade, and put it on the outer corner. So the only thing about this palette is that there isn't really a good inner corner highlight for someone of my complexion. I might just go in with the shade Psychedelic since it's more of a topper, and it seems to be like the brightest topper. I'm just going to put that in the inner corner. And I think this is going to be our inner corner for all the looks because there's basically no other inner corner shade. Oh yeah, this definitely works as an inner corner highlight. It's super reflective. And it looks quite pink in the pan, but since it is like a topper shade, it's just like a reflective, slightly pink tinged, like crystal-y color. But yeah, it doesn't like disrupt the color story of this look. Okay, I'm just gonna take that and put it on the inner third too. Okay, now I want to go in with the shade Apart again, which is just like the darkest gray-brown shade. Okay, so that's about it for the eyeshadow. And I'm just gonna go off camera to do the mascara, and I'll be right back to show you this finished taupey eye. Okay, so now I'm back with the lashes all done, and you can see the difference between my eyes. So I'm just gonna show you. You can see from further away. It's just a really natural taupey eye look. It's really pretty, and I like how nuanced the shades are, which I feel like is, you know, courtesy of Miss Natasha Denona. So I really like how this look turned out. So I guess on to the next look. Okay, so for this look, I want to go into the warmer tones here that are more like burnt orange, rusty tones, because it's kind of like an interesting section we have going on here. Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I tend to like more monochromatic color stories, just because I feel like usually that's the most flattering, I guess. Or it's the easiest to make work. You just don't have to put any effort in, and everything, you know that everything's gonna match. That's why whenever I get a palette with more colors like this, for example, I just kind of group it into different color stories, and I feel like that helps me a lot with coming up with looks. So anyway, I want to go into the shade Vivienne, which is the lightest shade of this group. How to describe? It's like a light warm brown, like a light peachy brown. I think this is another creamy shade. Oops. I just had to pat out the crease. Oh, actually this is quite light. Like you can barely see that on my lid, but that's okay. That's a good base for us. This palette definitely has the range in terms of, it goes from really light to pretty dark, I would say. Okay, next, we're gonna go in with the shade Go-Go. This also looks like another creamy powder one. Cream to powder. Oh, actually, maybe I will, instead of just putting it in the outer corner, maybe I will put Go-Go like in the crease a little bit. That looks really nice. All of these are super buttery. And like, I mean, I should know that because I do have other Natasha Denona palettes, but I guess I just haven't played with them in a while, besides the new Glam Face palettes that she came out with, which I did a review on, and I'll link in the cards up here. But yeah, I guess after not playing with these Natasha Denona shadows for a while, I'm like, I really was missing out during that time period because these shadows are so creamy, so blendable. Pigmented, but easily blendable. And I don't know, it's just like the texture is so creamy. I don't know how to explain. But, so that's the shade Go-Go blended all over the transition in the crease. It just blended so effortlessly. Okay. The other thing about the creamy matte shades like Go-Go is that they tend to show up lighter on the eyes than in the pan. But I like that in terms of they're more buildable that way. So they're kind of a more sheer formula, but they definitely build up. Like it's not like it disappears into nothing. But I usually like when things are lighter just because it's easier to work with on my skin tone and stuff like that. As long as it's buildable. It's like the perfect formula, you know? So anyway, now I'm going to go in with the shade Amara. So it's interesting because Amara and Go-Go look almost identical in the pan. I mean, Go-Go looks a little bit lighter, but they look very similar in the pan. On the eyes, they look very different. Here, I'm going to show you. This is Go-Go, and this is Amara. So like, you can see how different those are. Like this is a transition shade and this is a deepening shade. But in the pan, like why do they look the same? It's because Go-Go is the creamy, cream to powder formula and Amara is just a regular matte. So just keep that in mind when you work with these shadows, because like the looks can be deceiving, I guess. We're going to use that to our advantage because that way it's really easy to create looks. So I'm just going to take Amara and put it in the outer corner. Okay, next I want to go in with the shade Patty, which is kind of like a coppery shade. And as you can see, they're all in the same like color family, just with different textures. Yes, this is like a metallic shade. It's quite warm. That like warmed up the look by a lot. So I'm just going to put that all over. Okay, so interesting. The shade Patty is quite satin. Like, it's not a high shine metallic. It's very creamy though, so I guess that was her intention. It's just not very high impact. But like, it blends out really easily. Okay, lastly, because I'm gonna need some more shimmer on my eye, so I'm gonna go in with the shade Helio, which is kind of like a warm bronzy shade. So I'm just gonna tap that in the center. Oh yeah, see, that's like way more high impact. I like this one a lot more. Because I said that I was just gonna tap in the center, but I kind of went all over, and it's okay. Because I like the more like shiny pearlescent finish it gives. Yeah, I like this one a lot more. So that's about it for the top lid. My bottom lash line is pretty much always boring, so I'm just gonna go in with the Go-Go shade on the bottom lash line. Okay, so I'm gonna actually go in with the shade Rebellion, which is another one of those creamy formulas. And I'm just gonna use that to line my lash line. Okay, so that's about it for the eyeshadow. So now I'm gonna add a mascara and I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm back with the mascara all done. You can see what a difference that made. Oh yeah, also I forgot to add an inner corner highlight, so I'm just gonna go back in with the shade Psychedelic and pop that right in the inner corner. I was gonna say it's a little bit more cool tone than the rest of the eye, but like a slightly cooler pink, but honestly, because it's so sheer, it's mostly just sparkle. It doesn't really clash, so it's all good. Honestly, I feel like my favorite shade is Psychedelic. Just because I love shimmery shades and it's the prettiest, sparkliest shade in the palette. But yeah, you can see that right there. So there we go. I'm just gonna close this eye. What do we think? I'll show you a little bit further out too. So yeah, I feel like in comparison you can see how warm this eye is and how cool this eye is. So now I'm going to remove both of these eyes and go into doing the third look, which is going to be different from both of these. So I'm excited to see what we come up with. Okay, so now I'm back with my eyeshadow removed and we're going to go in with the third look now. So for the third look, I want to do a kind of purpley mauvey look, like just focusing on the colors around here and kind of like the main theme of this palette. So we're going to start off with the shade Andy again, the perfect mauve transition shade. Okay, so that's it for the transition. Okay, I think I want to go in with the shade Rebellion, which is a cream to powder formula, so it should be lighter than it looks. I'm still going to tap it off. We're going to put this in the outer corner. Yeah, like it looked super intimidating in the pan, but as you can see, it applies pretty sheerly. I want to go in with the shade Swing. There's like this dark purple metallic. So I'm also going to use this in like the outer corner. Because I wouldn't put this, oh, that's a lot. I wouldn't put this all over my lid. The Swing shade is honestly darker than the Rebellion shade, which is kind of funny because they look the opposite. So I'm just going to blend that out a little. Yeah, also after blending it, it kind of loses its metallicness. I think if you packed it on, it would be more metallic, but that's not the type of shade I want to pack onto my eyes, so. Okay, now for the fun part, I want to go in with the shade Glitz, which is like this duochrome shade. It's like a cool tone pink to gold shift. So I'm just going to take that on my finger. I'm just going to pat that all over my eye. This is going to be our main lid color. I want to go in with my favorite shade at the palette, which is Psychedelic. And we're going to use this glittery top coat to add some pizzazz. See how that just like automatically made it sparkle a lot more. Now I'm gonna go in for the bottom lash line and add the shade Andy again. Okay. So now I'm gonna go in with the shade Psychedelic again and right in the inner corner. Sometimes I like to bring it all the way up here so you can kind of see it when I tilt my head back. Like this whole section is highlighted. It just looks wet. And I also like to highlight the bottom lash line, like the inner half, because it makes it kind of look like you've been crying, but in a cute way. Like you cry glitter tears. But now I want to go in with the shade Groove as a shadow liner. So yeah, like the regular mattes show up a little bit darker than in the pan, whereas the cream to powders show up way lighter. So yeah, that's about it for the eyeshadow. So now I'm just gonna do the other eye and then put on some mascara, and then I'll be back to show you the final look and wrap up some of my final thoughts. Okay, so now I'm back with the eyes all done. Just show you the finished eyeshadow. Let me lower the lights a bit so you can see. I'll let you guys see from afar too. But yeah, so I think I like this look the best actually, just because it's the most pinky purpley mauve out of all of them. It's kind of like the color story that you would expect from the Retro palette. Oh yeah, also just wanted to note that while I was putting the final eyeshadow on, there was some fallout from, I think, like the glittery shades like Glitz and Psychedelic. Just wanted to let you guys know if you care a lot about that. It's not a lot, and like I don't even think you can see it on camera. So like I don't really mind, but if you do care about that, you're gonna want to do your eyes first before your complexion makeup. And then I just wanted to, I guess, wrap up some final thoughts about this Retro palette. Honestly, I'm super happy with it. It's a classic Natasha Denona formula, so what you pay for is what you're gonna get with these shadows. I think if you like this type of mauve-y, cool tone color story, you're gonna love this palette. Like, there's no duds in here, and the formulas are actually perfect. So yeah, you definitely have like a bunch of textures in here to play with. So I feel like that's another thing about this palette that's kind of impressive actually, is it's quite monochromatic, you would think, just from looking at it, but I actually think that it has quite a bit of variety in here for the monochromatic type of palette that it is. It is quite a neutral palette, so obviously you're not going to get anything crazy out of this. But I like that it's like you have the cool tones, you have the cool purple tones, and then you have some gray brown tones, and then you have the warmer terracotta shades that you could see like with my 3 different looks. I feel like they're all pretty different considering that it's from the same palette. And then obviously you can mix and match the tones as you want, but I prefer like more monochromatic looks. I feel like I was pretty impressed because with these monochromatic type palettes, sometimes all your looks can kind of end up looking the same, but I feel like mine were pretty noticeably different, at least to me. Another important thing to note, which I already mentioned in the demo part of the video, but just think it's important to reiterate, is that a lot of the shades in here actually appear different on the eyes than they do in the pan. But yeah, overall, it's a really great palette. I'm really happy I picked this up during the Sephora sale. It's a super pretty color story. That's about all my thoughts on this palette. Let me know down in the comments below which look out of the 3 you like the best. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like this video. And also don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this, because it really helps me out. Also, don't be shy and leave a comment down below because I basically respond to every single comment. I read all your comments, I respond to all of them. I might not get back to you immediately, like probably within a day, but like, you can go look at all my videos. I respond to every comment. Yeah, and I'd really love to know what you guys would want to see next, because obviously I want to make content that you guys want to see. I hope this was helpful to you or inspirational in some way, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye!